The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
The following episode has been brought to you by the Dorkening Podcast Network and is sponsored by Deadly Grounds Coffee.
3, 2, 1.
And now, you're tuned into the Navarro-Miller Report, featuring the hottest in news, entertainment, sports, and all those topics for the mainstream audience. The Navarro-Miller Report.
Examine your reality.
Welcome, everyone, to the Navarro-Miller Report. I'm your host, Dave Navarro.
And I'm Jeremy Miller.
And Jeremy, why is it so hot?
Oh, well, let's not get political. Because you know me, I'll go off on the climate change thing.
What does the heat have to do with politics? He asked like an idiot.
Well, let me see. Half our country doesn't believe climate change is happening, even though
for
we,
fuck's sake, here we go.
So, that's my. I'm not getting into it.
That's your 2 cents for right now. Oh my God. We want to welcome everybody to the Navarro-Miller Report right here on the Dorkening Podcast Network. And first of all, I wanted to go ahead and open up by wishing my condolences to the family of Tony Bennett. He passed away today at the age of 96 years old. I mean, he's a legend in the music industry. According to sources, he was still performing even up until, recently, right?
Well, I believe they said he was singing just a few days ago. I don't know if it was an actual performance, but just last year he performed with, I cannot remember, it was Carrie Underwood or somebody along those lines. He performed with a big musician and did a whole set and a whole show at an award show or something like that. So this man, up until last year, was still performing, and that's pretty amazing. I mean, he was a legend. Yeah,
and he will be missed by many people. I loved a lot of his music. His music was just very soothing. I love the collaborations he did with a lot of big names. Mm-hmm. Most recently, I think he did a collaboration with Lady Gaga. Was the most recent collaboration he did with a big name like that. And I'm happy to see that he had such an incredible career. He seemed like such a solid, really genuine, very humble man. And I mean, again, the entire entertainment community is very much mourning his loss today.
Absolutely.
So, as life happens, we have to keep on going and do the best we can to honor his memory. So, we got some other stuff to tackle today. I'm trying to think at the same time. It is Friday after all, and I've had a long week.
Don't do it. You don't do it well.
I've had a long week in front of me, all right? I've had a long week with my radio show, all right?
Well.
You know what? I don't need this from you right now. I really don't.
Nobody wants to hear your bitching.
What I really need from you right now is to watch these TikTok videos I'm about to go ahead and show you. The first one actually has to do with vato cholos, these are how essays go ahead and treat their ladies. Go ahead, check it out.
Welcome to a day in the life with a cholo housewife. Time to prepare my queen's favorite, huevito con weenie. But enough about me, let's make her some breakfast. Let's tag up this pan, get the weenies in there, huevito, elbows up, side to side, scramble, and pour it in like a 40 for the last homies. Y sas, a la salt, babe, chale, salt, vato, that fool's cringy. Tortillas, mira mano, she's almost ready. Paz, time to get these nice and flat, like my nalgas. Don't look at me, little puppet, don't look at me. Hey, boacha, look at me get down. Patty cake, sas. Tortillas a mano, done. Just like my abuelo used to make them. And now for the presentation. Hey, watch, look at this form. Salsa, huevito con weenies, sas, tortillas mira mano. Got you, Nena. Don't want any stains on those work pants again. Oh, no flyaways on my watch. Just give it a little tease. Huele a herbal essence. Here it comes, first bite. Hey, give me a 5-star on Yelp. Nah, I'm just kidding. Oh, someone's got huevo on her face. I got you, chiquita. Disfruta, mi reina. That's too good for me. Now back to the kitchen, where I belong.
That was a really good one. That one was awesome. I love him working in the lingo and everything. But honestly, if you know, I've had some hardcore Vato buddies. I mean, guys I've known a long time, man. And they are not, not guys you'd want to mess with on the streets. They are tough. They don't take any shit. But I tell you right now, they get home to their their woman. Woo, they know who's wearing the pants.
Oh, yeah. Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, because otherwise they'll get cut.
Oh, yeah.
No, but if you notice at the very end of that video, he says, "Now back to the kitchen where I belong."
Yep, no,
the
that's
whoop of the
perfect.
back.
Absolutely perfect. That one was grade A.
Oh my God, I love that one. This next one actually has to do with, well, this guy got so angry that he actually became kind of polite, but to himself. I just check it out.
What the fuck does this guy want? You fucking piece of shit, run it up and down.
Like, he had to literally open the window himself so that way he can actually yell at the guy. That reminds me of a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, it's not something I'm proud of, but with my temper in my younger days, I am a veteran of that type of situation. And if I got your door open, I'm not bothering with the window. I'm going to scream or I'm going to get a hold of you. So that was interesting.
Again, it was one of those Bugs Bunny moments, in my opinion. So that was just weird.
I'm dumbfounded. Seriously.
It's like, all right, I'm gonna fuck you up right now. Hold on. Oh,
I mean, I was waiting for it. The door's open. I'm like, oh crap, here we go. This is going off. And
that's what I thought too when I first saw it. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
I was not prepared for the window roll down.
Oh my God. Now, this last video that I'm going to show you right now, this actually has to do with us millennials. Now, Gen Xers,
you are a millennial.
I know, that's why I said us millennials. I'm not including you in this. You didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish. I'm like, now as for you Gen Xers, I'm talking to you, Jeremy, and the rest of you from your generation. You might relate to this a little bit. But the thing is, the reason why millennials are called millennials is because I guess we were born between 81 and 92, 95, something like that. But we're still being kind of like married into Gen Z, and that kind of annoys the hell out of us because we're nowhere near what Gen Z was like. So I'm not going to explain it, but this young lady explained it perfectly. Check it out.
All right, I'm calling a meeting for millennials born from 1981 to 1992. Why are we fucking called millennials? We were the last generation to play outside, okay? We still had bikes. We rode all over town. Our parents had no idea where we were. I mean, it wasn't as bad as having to put a commercial on to say, do you know where your children are at 10 o'clock at night? We still had to be home when the street lights were on, okay? But they had no idea where the fuck we were all day long. I was raised by boomers. I didn't have participation trophies and shit. My parents were the ones that was like, oh, you fell down and your legs all messed up and you should probably go to the hospital. Put some dirt on it or walk that shit off. What? Okay, and then we get technology, right? I got a computer, Windows 98. No one knew how to use that shit. We were so used to playing outside and riding our bikes. That's what we kept doing until we're getting closer to high school and we're like, oh, we can use AIM to communicate with each other because I didn't even get a cell phone until I was in high school. And unlimited texting was not a thing. We had to pay 10 cents for everything. It's not like these kids nowadays that can just have a whole ass conversation. That's a luxury of life. If you went over the texting limit, you were fucked for the rest of the month. And I'm willing to bet that most millennials from that time era, your parents thought you were staying the night somewhere, but really you were drunk dying in a field. And if I have to hear one more Gen X say how lazy we are, calling off wasn't an option. That wasn't a thing. You got drunk. You stayed up until 2 hours before your shift. You made yourself throw up, and then you went into work. Still drunk from the night before. It was fine. We all made it. Listen, I'm not saying that we deserve to be with Gen X because they clearly had it harder. But I just feel like we should be separated from the younger millennials because if you can't remember life without a computer, you are cut from a different cloth. And we had a completely different childhood. Don't group me in with them fucking people.
Those are plain and simple facts right there, all the way.
I can't argue with the thing she said, and the truth is, born in that really close era with Gen Xers, it's we dealt with a lot of the same things, and where she classified it is probably the best way to classify it. If you can't remember living without a computer, you're definitely cut from a different cloth. You are a different breed, and I'm not criticizing. It's just a different world. We had to figure shit out. We didn't have every answer in the world at our fingertips. It's one of my favorite Ron White skits is he does a whole thing explaining libraries to younger millennials and Gen Zers. And it's just hysterical because like we had to go to libraries. A library is a place where they kept the knowledge. And he just goes through all this different, it was a tougher time in a lot of ways, but it was a funner time. We had a lot more freedom. This, man. We were allowed to be kids, which is something kids today don't get to do. They are dealing with a lot more pressures.
It's more dangerous now to be out, to be honest with you, as kids.
Well, it is. It's much more dangerous to be out. I mean, by the time my boys were, older and old enough, I mean, we certainly didn't let them just take off wherever they wanted to go, whenever they wanted to go, like we did. I mean, as she said, I left every single day. I wasn't going to school. Every weekend, every summer, I was out the door at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. You didn't see me until the streetlights came on, and that was fine. I only got in trouble if I came back more than like a half hour after the streetlights came on.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's so funny too because when she was talking about computers, I remember the very first computer that my parents ever bought me was a Tandy 1000 from Montgomery Ward.
Yep.
That was the first, and it was with the blue screen in the back. That was the very first computer my parents ever bought me. I hardly ever used that freaking thing. I rarely used it.
Early on in growing pains, I think it was like second or third year, I wanted to buy a computer. Knew nothing about computers. It was just the time they were coming about. This would have been, I mean, if I was 10 years old, it's around 86, 87. And we bought an Apple IIe.
Wow.
And I had one game, and to tell you kids what was not Oregon Trail.
Oh, okay.
It was a fantasy thing, but again, there was no graphics. This was pre-Oregon Trail. There were no graphics. It was literally a text that came up asking questions and asking you to go to, it was almost like a choose your own adventure type thing, but it was all through text. We had no graphics at that point, unless you knew how to do it.
Damn.
So, I mean, that's the truth. It was a useless tool unless you were a computer person. So for the average Joe like me, I never did anything on it except type a school paper and play that little game. I mean, that was the only thing I had. And then I finally get this Macintosh thing that had AOL and everything else right when AOL started. And they're like, oh, you can access libraries all over the world, all this stuff. You couldn't do shit on that thing.
I know. I remember that.
If you were a computer nerd, and I don't say that in a bad way, just somebody who really knew computers back then, and that was not your average person, then you could get more out of it. So it was just a very different time.
It was, but you know what? It was a simpler time. I like those times. I love those times. I mean, before technology actually started taking over our lives, it was a much simpler time. It was safer, as safe as it could be. I mean, when she was talking about cell phones, I didn't even get my first cell phone until I graduated. I had a flip phone actually, but that was only until like my last year as a senior in high school. And even then, it was just borrowed. My parents were like, "Do not call us because you'll go over the minutes," you know.
Well,
and then on top of that, I had a pager. I had Smart Beep. Do you remember Smart Beep?
I'll date myself even further. I didn't have, even at the end of high school, a cell phone. I had a pager.
Yeah.
I didn't get my cell phone because it wasn't, in the carry in your pocket, small size technology yet until I was after high school. Now, when we were doing Growing Pains, we had a cellular phone. This thing came with a briefcase. You had to, it was essentially for use in your car. It was nothing to carry around with you. Wow. And it came with a briefcase that was hooked up to the phone that you had to hook up to an antenna and all this different stuff. So yeah, it was technology changed a lot for the better, but that simpler time was a lot easier to find enjoyment and happiness in.
You didn't you weren't so reliant on it like we are now.
It was a luxury. Now we're definitely relying on it. Back then, it was kind of a luxury that, it was nice to have when you needed it. The only reason my mom got that cellular thing was because we were in the car all the time, going to auditions and doing all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of chatter right now regarding this particular subject. I'm glad I brought this up, actually. We got JC saying, my first comp was a Mac Quadra 660. I still have today. So he still has it to this day.
Wow, so JC.
That's impressive right there. Meg is actually, she said, I had a computer, but I do relate. I was always outside. She was actually born in 96. She's a little past the millennial era. She's like, I was born in 1996, but she could still relate. And then we got Donald. Donald Blake is saying, first computer I had was a Commodore 64, and my first cell phone was a bag phone. What the hell is a bag phone?
I'm pretty sure he's talking about what I was talking about.
Oh, the same thing you were talking about. I was like, what in the freaking hell?
Something similar to
that. And of course, Danny's actually agreeing. He says technology indeed has changed a lot for the better. And he said, I remember, he also commented, he says, I remember being on the internet as early as 93. I don't ever really remember being on there as early as 93. I remember being there as early as 90. I think it was like 94, 95 was the first time I actually got access to the internet. And that was only because I was like, I'm not going to say what grade I was in because I'm going to age myself if I do, but I was in high school at the time and I was taking a graphic arts class. And in our graphic arts class, we had to go ahead and use the internet to get a lot of graphic design ideas and things like that from the internet. So we had access to the internet in our classrooms. I never had it at home, though. Never. I never even had a computer at home until I think probably my first or second year in college. That's when I finally got a computer for home because I had to. I needed a computer here at home for many reasons. So I buckled down and I finally got a desktop, like a Dell, I think it was. So yeah, it's crazy, man, how time has gone by, but I don't know. I miss those days. I really, really miss those days, man.
I miss a lot of what went on with it.
So do I. But we got to go ahead and keep it going here, guys. In other outlandish, crazy news, Jeremy, you have a poacher that gets caught.
Well, we're a little light on the truly outlandish and weird news this week. But yeah, we have a poacher who shot an arrow. He arrowed him, is what hunters call it. Arrowed a bull moose illegally in Colorado. And this idiot tried to remove the head, couldn't do it. He was looking for trophies, which is despicable. I have no issue with hunting. I'm a hunter myself. Sorry if that pisses some of you off. We can have a discussion about it. But
no, we don't.
No, we absolutely can. But it's doing it for just the trophy. What this guy did was absolutely despicable. And then because he couldn't remove the head, he just left the carcass there to rot, tried to cover it up with leaves and branches, and probably would have gotten away with it, except trail hunters or other hunters in that area had set up trail cams so that they can watch the animals' movements and know which directions they're heading at which times of day. It helps with the hunt. And they actually were reviewing their footage and caught this guy, and they turned him into the Colorado wildlife officers. So they turned over all of the stuff. He was reported by fellow hunters. And these cops took 2 years for them to be able to track this guy down. They drove all the way multiple times, 4.5 hours to Kansas, where he was supposedly residing, trying to serve warrants at different places. And they finally caught him. So this guy could have gotten away with it, except for there were some ethical hunters, which I got to tell you, most hunters are ethical hunters. Most hunters want to preserve these animals. They want to preserve them for the generations to come so that their kids and their grandkids and everybody after can still enjoy seeing, interacting, and hunting these animals so that they can enjoy the meat, enjoy, some of the healthiest fresh meat you're ever going to get. So anyway, it was just a sheer chance of coincidence that hunters had set up trail cams in this area. And thankfully, they were ethical and responsible hunters, and they turned this guy in immediately. So he's facing 2 felonies and multiple misdemeanors.
Good.
And will probably never be able to hunt again because it only takes 20 points, negative points for infractions to get your hunting privileges revoked. This guy was given a negative 45 for this incident.
He's never coming back.
So he may never be able to hunt again. And he's basically a scumbag. To take an animal's life like that just for the trophy and then to leave it there to rot is absolutely despicable in every single way.
And JC actually agrees with you. Hunting for sport is one thing. Doing it for trophy body parts like horns and such is despicable. And real quick, happy birthday, JC. He's been telling me that he just turned your age yesterday, Jeremy.
JC, congrats, man. Happy birthday. That's awesome.
So many happy returns there.
Welcome to the old man club.
It's only downhill from here.
Shut up.
In other news, there's a new TikTok trend going on right now. Something's wrong with my. Oh, that's weird. Something's going on with the ticker. Is it just me on my end, or is
I'm
it
seeing it fine? It's rolling.
It is okay. That was weird on my end. It's like it's a strange what's going on, whatever. Anyways, so there's a new TikTok trend going on right now, which is very, very weird. Many TikTokers, many streamers are actually doing something called AI NPC. Now, what this means is that most streamers are actually on the stream and they're moving like this. And then every time they get gifted something, they're like, ice cream, yum, yum, yum. Ooh, rose for the homies. And they do this shit, dude. They literally do this. You know how much these guys are making per stream? $2,000 per stream. I mean, this is where our future is going. Our future is going to, you played Cyberpunk 2077. That's where we're going. We're headed that way.
Yeah, we are. And it's absolutely frightening. I mean, people, especially streamers, influencers, people like that, they're going to do whatever they're going to do for their money because they don't care. But the fact is, all you're doing is helping promote more AI. You're helping to make it more popular, which is going to make people want to use it more, which is going to lead to society's downfall, in my opinion. And I'm not just talking about the whole Terminator thing and the machines taking over the world. I'm talking about them costing people jobs, costing entertainers, performers, content creators, but most influencers, most streamers, they're not thinking about the big picture. They're thinking about their wallet.
Oh yeah. And Danny, to answer your question, yes, 2,000 just for that. It's insane. And actually even more. The average from what a lot of these TikTokers have estimated is that most of these TikTokers, they're making close to 10,000 a week doing these streams and doing exactly that type of stream, doing the whole yum, 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 yum. Ooh, a rose, rose. They're like Max Hedron. Okay. They're literally becoming Max Hedron. on TikTok.
I see what they're doing a little bit. I mean, the AI part of it bothers me, but NPCs with non-playable characters in video games, it's actually really popular right now. There are a couple of Viva La Dirt League and some other streamers are doing video game parodies, basically, where they actually give characteristics and backstories to non-player characters and then do skits based around it. And it's all extremely funny. So it's probably a offshoot of that kind of thing. But yeah, I just, this is just the death beetle of our society.
Oh yeah, most definitely. We got some entertainment news for you guys coming up next. But first, we have a word from one of our sponsors. We'll be right back, guys.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Don't you just hate rude zombies? I hate rude zombies.
Rude zombies are obnoxious. They just never know when to,
use the front door.
Use the front door. They never know when to just leave you alone and give you your space.
I'm saying, I mean, come on. Someone teach. So who taught these zombies? I mean, come on. Who are their parents? Let's talk about that. Anyways, moving on to some entertainment news. LL Cool J basically tells Miranda Lambert to, quote, get over it. Obviously, a lot of you may have heard that Miranda Lambert got a little bit angry at fans because they were taking selfies in the middle of her concert. And I mean, one person that sided with Miranda was Whoopi Goldberg. She was on The View, and she got so upset she walked out of The View during the filming of it, which to me is just over dramatic in my opinion. Excuse me. And I just, it's unprofessional to me to just walk out over a subject like this.
Well, you have to realize that that's part of The View.
It's the drama.
It is over drama. That's part of The View. That's what it is. I mean, each host on there has walked off the set irate so many times. It's just not even news anymore that they're doing it. It's almost contrived now, But no, I think Miranda really does I agree with LL. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm sorry people are taking selfies at your show. I'm sorry your ego is so much that you can't handle people not, praising you and worshiping everything you do the whole time. They paid their money. They paid you their tickets. What's your damn problem? They want to take a selfie at your concert. Get over it. They paid their money for the ticket. They can do whatever the hell they want as long as they are not disrupting the show. And they're not. Taking a selfie is not disrupting anything. And she's a performer. She ought to know better than that. People are going to do what they're going to do. You need to get up there and do your damn job.
Agreed. Quick side note, Jeremy, somebody was asking, what were you drinking actually out of your glass? Because they said that right before commercial, they could have sworn you were taking a sip of champagne, and because you're in recovery, they're afraid that you might be doing that.
Big glass of water, guys. Big glass of water. It's always iced tea, water, or coffee.
Yeah, so don't worry. He's not drinking anything alcoholic, guys. But we appreciate
not only that, but I appreciate the concern, and part of it is, I mean, beyond that, I try not to drink my calories anymore. Just trying to stay as healthy as I can. So iced tea, water, coffee, it's about all I drink.
Not only that, Joni, his fiance's on the stream and she's watching, and we're all watching and Jeremy
if I was drinking, believe me, you guys would see a murder on air live. So.
All of a sudden the stream would just go black. I'm like, oh, well, that's our show. Indefinitely. Time to find a new host. But anyways, getting back to the topic at hand. Yeah, no, basically I agree with you 110%, and LL Cool J also did as well. He went ahead and said that pretty much had the same sentiment you did, Jeremy. He went ahead and said, quote, Miranda, get over it. Your job as an artist is to create art. The way people choose to interact with that art or engage it or appreciate it is up to them. These people work hard to go to your concert so you can get paid at your concert. The fact of the matter that you get pissed off because they're taking selfies. Okay, let's look at it this way. That to me sounds more of a spoiled brat that wants all the attention for herself and nobody else. Get the F over it. I mean, honestly, that's the dumbest thing you could actually ever complain to. And Whoopi was like, well, those people were just being disrespectful. First of all, these people bought tickets to go watch a show. That is respect, as it is right there. They didn't go. I mean, it'd be different if all of a sudden they wouldn't pay at all for anything and want to get a free ticket, you know, just because they want to. That to me is disrespectful, but they paid to go watch Miranda Lambert perform, not to get berated by her, but to perform as a performer should. So, I mean, it was just dumb for her to get all bent out of shape, and it was unprofessional for Whoopi to get all bent out of shape and walk out of her post at The View. I mean,
I agree. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not real bothered by her walking out thing because it's just become such a big part of their show now. You know, it gets people talking like this, and it ends up being a story on the news feed every single time. Joy Behar stormed off the set. Whoopi Goldberg stormed off the set. You know, who cares?
They're
Seriously.
always storming off the set all the time.
They're all literally become part of the show. But, you know, I agree with people sitting there taking the selfies? I wouldn't do it. I mean, I'd take a selfie before the show. If I paid money for tickets, I'm going to want to watch the show. That's me. I'm going to be paying attention. I want to watch the show, but you paid your money for the ticket. If you want to take selfies during the show, you know, turn your back so you can get the stage behind you, whatever it is, it's your money. You spent it. Enjoy the show however you want, as long as you're not, you know, disrupting it for other people, which they're not by doing that. And they're not causing chaos. It's ridiculous that Miranda Lambert, you know, blew up over this.
No, that and the other thing too that I also noticed was the fact of the matter that that the way the selfie was taken, and I kind of saw that, was the women did it so that Miranda could kind of be in the selfie in the background. There's like a little gap between them, and right there in that little gap, you can see Miranda in the background. So I think they did it for that purpose, to make it seem like she was taking a picture with them. And for that, you know, it's like that was a pretty cool thing. And not only that, selfies don't take that long. They take maybe a couple of minutes, you know, to take. And then you go right back to watching the show. It's not disrespectful.
Couple of
you
minutes.
Just want everybody.
What kind of selfies are you taking?
Oh, dude.
20 seconds. Turn around. Make sure it's the shot you want. Take the picture.
Well, you know how some people at concerts are. They want to get the right angle. They want to make sure that they're postured right. Their side is good. The light's good. A lot of people go ahead and do all that. And only me. Okay. Anyways, move on to something else. Okay, well then I'm embarrassed. Anyways, bottom line here is that Miranda Lambert was on the wrong, in my opinion, and in your opinion, Jeremy,
too. Absolutely, I think she was.
Yeah,
I think she's very much in the wrong. You know, you don't stop a concert and berate fans for doing something that is not disrupting the show. Okay, it's ridiculous.
I mean, she's lucky she's not like these other performers that, you know, get stuff thrown at them at shows.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it's a non-story to me, and that it's just a dumb move on her part, and I don't agree with it at all. It was incredibly unprofessional on her part. And unfortunately, you know, selfies and Instagram and all this other stuff, this is the world we live in. If you're a performer, you're dealing with this. Plain and simple. They paid money. They're paying your salary by buying your money, by buying your music, and by coming to your concerts and buying tickets. How dare you?
Without fans, y'all ain't shit.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line right there. In other entertainment news, John Stamos almost not Uncle Jesse. What?
So, yeah, we have a very interesting interview that John Stamos gave, and there is some backstory behind it, so don't go crazy at first. But at the very first table read for Full House, when Jodie Sweetin began reading her lines, literally everybody there, producers, writers, anybody who was around, were laughing so hysterically that John Stamos, you couldn't hear him delivering his lines in response. You couldn't hear the other actors. And he realized that, wow, the kids are going to be the real star of this show, and was just kind of infuriated and got on the phone with his agent and said, this is his quote. He said, "Get me the fuck off this show." Now, here's the reasoning. This was not just him being a diva. This was not anything like that. The show was pitched to him as more of a bosom buddies type show.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if our younger generation remembers Bosom Buddies. It's a great show with Tom Hanks, and oh my God, I'm going to blank on the other actor's name at the moment, but it was a great show, and it was a buddy comedy.
I almost said Rick Moranis for some reason.
Well, he does look a little like him, but it's not.
It's not him. I forgot his name though.
But anyway, it was pitched to him as more of a bosom buddies type show with a couple of kids, in the background. And that was the kind of show he wanted to do. He wasn't gearing up to do some big family show where he was more of a sidekick. That's not how the show was sold to him.
Leave it to JC to come in for the clutch right there. Peter Scolari.
Thank you. Oh, JC, I love you.
JC coming in with the clutch.
That was going to bug me completely. But anyway, so it took him a while. He said he really had to fight his dislike of what they were doing. And he said it took him a while before he really realized that, man, this is something special we're creating here. There is no star of the show. Mm-hmm. It is a family show where the love and the camaraderie is the star. But it took him a long while to get there because, and I've been in this position as an actor where a project is sold to you a certain way, and all of a sudden you get there and you realize this is not what I signed on for. And as an actor, that can really piss you off. So I feel for how John was feeling at that time. But, he acknowledges that he is incredibly lucky to have been Uncle Jesse and be a part of the show. But it took him, he said, almost the entire first season and into the second season before he really got over his dislike of what they were doing at the time.
Wow. That's insane though. Could you have imagined Full House without John Stamos?
No, it's inconceivable to me. I mean, there were a lot of cool guys maybe they could have put in, but man, John is certainly a unique personality. I've known John Stamos for a very, very long time. I love the guy. But I can't imagine the show without him, and I don't think anybody else could either.
I mean, I could have imagined Growing Pains without you, but I mean, not Full House without John Stamos.
Well, that's just your wishful thinking.
It never came true. That's so crazy, though. I mean, and it's funny because, and JC actually mentioned this as well, that Saget wasn't actually the first Danny Tanner. And I've seen footage about this too. I've seen footage of a pilot where it was another guy that was playing Danny Tanner. Originally, it was another actor completely, and I think this was I think maybe behind the shows or behind the scenes, something like that. I don't know, something like that. And they talked to the guy that was supposed to play Danny Tanner, and I looked and I was like, nah, they went the right direction with Bob Saget, because honestly, I can't see the show with this guy.
This is a lot more common than you would expect. I've talked about this many, many times. It happened on our show. Tracy Gold was not the original Carol. It was an actor named Elizabeth Ward and an actress named Elizabeth Ward who did the pilot of Growing Pains. We shot the entire pilot with her, and the test groups just didn't respond very well to her. They thought she didn't meld well with the rest of the family. She seemed like, kind of the odd one out. It didn't really fit. And then there were also some conflicts with, I think her brother was moving back to New York and with her family because he was a big actor as well. So it was just, this happens more often than you would think. And truthfully, it happens for the better most of the time. When you look at these original pilots and things that were shot with other actors, you can kind of see what they were thinking. And you, like you said, you look at this and you go, I couldn't see him playing this role. They definitely made the right choice. And it was the same thing with Elizabeth. Is nothing against her, but there was something when you look back, that didn't quite fit that Tracy was able to bring to the show.
And not only that, I mean, and it's so crazy because I was actually, going through TikTok. They've actually found pilot episodes of Three's Company without the original Janet and Chrissy. And Jack's name originally was supposed to be David, not Jack. And he wasn't even supposed to be a chef. He was supposed to be a photographer. I
cannot imagine that show without Joyce DeWitt and Suzanne Summers.
Yeah.
I can't.
The two other actresses that they had, nothing like Joyce DeWitt or Suzanne Summers. And I'm like, you know what? You guys made the right casting call.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, when you see those original, if you get a chance to see the original screen tests or the pilot or any of those things, you can really see why the producers made the choice that they did to go on to another actor or actress. And it's not a criticism of the other person. It's not their talent. It's that something about their personality or whatever it is doesn't fit. It's something intangible. And when you look back, you can see why they made the move.
And to be honest with you, the other two actresses, I saw the pilot because there's like on TikTok, you have the ability to have at least like a 10-minute worth of footage on TikTok. And I watched the full 10 minutes of the pilot episode with these two other actresses. No chemistry whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, as a director, as a producer, I would have said the same thing. Like, you know what? These girls aren't going to work out. There's no chemistry. There's no comedic effect. There's no snap. There's something missing here.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. That intangible I was talking about really is the chemistry. And that's what seems to come through. It's not so much a talent issue, but the chemistry with the other cast and crew, and that kind of thing. You can see it. It comes through on the screen.
Oh, I completely agree. And no, Teddy, I'm still awake. Teddy's like, Dave fell asleep. No, I was actually like, I got a message real quick that I had to respond to. Half the time that Jeremy talks, I don't pay attention anyway. So,
like our normal conversations.
Oh my God. Also, Teddy's coming to your defense saying Jeremy was growing pains.
Thank you, Teddy. Love you, man.
Oh my God. And you know what, Danny, you made another good point right there. Basically, it's like growing pains without Alan Thicke.
Inconceivable. Exactly. It's absolutely inconceivable. And again, this is why producers and directors do what they do. I mean, they do have a lot of control over this kind of thing, and these are important decisions to make. Chemistry on screen is insanely important.
Agreed. So, but it's still crazy. Like the what ifs of the industry, the what ifs of the entertainment industry. What if this person didn't play that part? What if another person played that part? I mean, there was another movie, a big movie actually, that came out that was supposed to star. God, if I remember it, I'll talk about it next episode of the podcast. But there was another movie that Indiana Jones. They originally had wanted Tom Selleck to play Indiana Jones instead of Harrison Ford. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tom Selleck, incredible actor. I mean, and I think he would have made a great Indiana Jones. But I think they went the right direction with Harrison Ford. He brought it. I mean,
as much as I love Tom Selleck, I think his personality would have changed what Indiana Jones. I don't think it would have been what it is. Not saying it couldn't have been good, because Tom is incredibly talented. But if you look at Magnum PI, which was a character, but still that sort of vibe that he had at that time, I'm not. I don't know how well it would have worked. But
the vibe that he has is very mellow. It's a very mellow guy, very very sullen to a certain extent, and that's just not Indiana Jones. Because Indiana Jones has to be consistently like, holy crap, I'm getting attacked here. I'm getting my ass kicked here. He's got to be always on his toes. And Selleck was more of a mellow, like, no worries, we'll get there. That type of attitude. So, but yeah, also the what ifs and the what ifs of life. I can't even with that one. In other entertainment news, Lana Del Rey seen working at a Waffle House. Now, there have been reports, and right now, nothing has been reported as to why the musical artist is working at a Waffle House somewhere, I believe, in Kentucky. I think it was. From reading this, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's in Alabama. She's working at a Waffle House in Alabama, and nobody really understands or knows why she's working at a Waffle House in Alabama. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that she's made a success in her singing career, that she doesn't necessarily need to be working at a Waffle House. And according to sources, they're saying that they've contacted their Lana's representatives and people that they asked them, is she working on a new album maybe that has to do with the Waffle House, because they all know that Joe Jonas paid homage to the Waffle House in one of his albums and one of his songs recently. So they're thinking she might be doing the same thing. So far, the studios are denying anything that there's any new album coming out. So now the mystery is, what the hell is she doing working at a Waffle House?
I have a different take on this. My take is, it's none of anybody's fucking business why she's working at a Waffle House. Plain and simple. It's nobody's damn business. She could be having financial troubles. Yeah. She could just love the Waffle House. I love the Waffle House. Okay. I don't have them out here. We don't have them in California. I got to go to Arizona to get my Waffle House fix. That's the closest place I can go. I would take a shift in the Waffle House just for the fun of it. But truthfully, it's nobody's effing business. Okay. As an actor who knows lots of actors, as well as myself, who's had to work, lots of different jobs. Some of them would be considered menial jobs while times were tough. It's nobody's effing business, plain and simple. If she is struggling and needs to get some extra money, if she has a friend, she was helping out. If she was just there because she loves the day, it's nobody's damn business. Why?
The only reason why I would want to know is for the plain and simple fact that if she got screwed over in the musical industry, which many artists have gotten screwed over with royalties, with contracts, etc., I would like for her to have made that public, so there could be an investigation, so there could be some sort of advocacy for a lot of these artists that are rising in the realms of the music industry.
It's possible.
If she's working at a Waffle House, that would be my only question. Did you get screwed over, and why? How did this happen to you? Because if you remember correctly, a few years back, when TLC won their Grammys, they went public and they said, we don't see a dime of this. Mm-hmm. Like, we may have won these Grammys, all of you are buying our stuff, but we see peanuts from all this stuff that you guys buy. We see nothing. And they went public after they won the Grammys in a press conference. So that comes up with the question, what's going on? Why? That's the only reason why I would want to know. It's for that reason.
And I can see that point. And the other part of that is, you stated, you think she's doing pretty well with her music. She probably doesn't need to do this. You just never know, man. Jessica Simpson just gave a whole interview about how she's basically broke. She's had to borrow money from her mother recently. She's had to, because all not her singing career and her music stuff, her outside businesses that were going and were doing things all basically tanked through nothing she did, but bad business decisions by partners, things that just went wrong, bad circumstances. But she had, spending habits that were, she was well off and bought the best of everything and never really thought about her spending. And now all of a sudden everything's come crashing down on her and she's really struggling financially. So you never know what people are dealing with. And if they choose to keep that part of it quiet, that's on them, man.
Well, I mean, I guess, how these vultures in paparazzi eventually find out the reason why. So we'll just go ahead and wait to see one of these guys find out what's really going on. Danny actually has something to say. He says, a lot of people think once you're a famous actor, you're financially set for the rest of your life. More often than not, it's inaccurate.
Yep, Danny, you are dead on. I mean, I've said this before. I know, and I'm not joking, I know personally, and they're not like best friends I talk all the time to, but I know personally 2 Academy Award winning actors who can't get a job, who haven't worked in over 5 years.
Yep, I remember you told me that. You said that last episode. I remember that.
That's insane. These are people who reached the absolute pinnacle of their profession and can't get hired. So, and it's not because they did something wrong. It's literally just the nature of the business. So, the general public thinks, once you're a celebrity, everything's, made in the shade for you. And it's just not the truth.
No, and that's a fact. JC went ahead and said as well, people go after her about Waffle House like they did for Dylan Sprouts when he was working in a restaurant after his Disney days, claiming he'd gone through all his Disney money when in fact he was researching the industry for an outside entertainment venture.
No, there's all sorts of different reasons, and you never know. I mean, can't remember his name, but the actor who played Denise's boyfriend on Cosby Show.
Say that. Yeah,
and he had hit hard times and was working at Trader Joe's, and people tried to humiliate him online and ridicule him, and it's absolutely it's despicable that people would do that. This was a man working hard to take care of himself and his family, and people are going to call him out for having a normal job. Many actors, many performers end up having to take normal jobs. There are many musicians who made it, who are now working cruise ship gigs and things like that, just so they can survive. Agreed.
Absolutely agreed. And it's that we actually talked about that too on one of our episodes. I remember we talked about that as well, how so many people were talking so much smack about the guy. And I'm like, dude, that's not, at least, and remember what you said, at least he's not out doing something unethical or illegal. At least he's trying to make an honest living.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So, but anyways, we got some sports coming for you. But first, we got to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back after this.
Listening to stuff has never been so enjoyable. If you had the misfortune to have been born after 1990, then you missed out on a lot of cool stuff. Then Is Now podcast is here to remedy that. Join Rigor and his dedicated band of rotating hosts as they tackle pop culture of the past and how it relates today. From celebrity interviews to film and TV discussion and beyond, Then Is Now podcast brings you up to speed on all the cool stuff that you should know about. Plus, the East meets the West. If you enjoy movies that have lots of shooting and fighting, then there's a whole world of films out there that you don't even know about. Join our hosts on a journey as they discuss the amazing kung fu films of the Shaw Brothers and Western films made in Italy that have become known as spaghetti westerns. Action, adventure, kung fu fighting. Both shows and more can be found at havenpodcasts.com. Warning, may cause nostalgic feelings and eliminate boredom.
We're back, and we got some sports news for everybody today, including oh, you told me about this right before we started the show. Mariner player is out for the season. Please tell them what happened.
So we're not sure if he's out for the season. He's out indefinitely at this point. But Seattle Mariners player Jared Kelenic, who is actually having a very good year for them. I think his slash line, he's batting .252, 320 on base percentage, and a .439 slugging percentage. If you know your baseball stats, that's a solid season for a non-superstar guy. That's a really good season, and it's one of he's really starting to excel with this team. And he, after a 9-pitch at bat, which generally, if you know anything about baseball, the more pitches you see from a pitcher, the more you can just keep fouling stuff off. Usually that goes in the batter's favor. By the time you get to the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th pitch, usually that goes in the batter's favor. And unfortunately, this guy struck out with guys on and a chance to tie up the game. And he got so upset that going back into the dugout, he kicked the water cooler and broke his damn foot.
Oh my God.
So he is now out indefinitely. They don't even know if he'll be able to play again this season.
Oh my God.
Now we've seen this before. Aaron Rodgers did it once. One of the Jets quarterbacks did it once, getting pissed off about something, going back into the locker room and punching a wall, things like this. I understand that sports you are passionate, and the greatest players are passionate. It is their
Very
life.
competitive.
But you got to control that crap, man. I mean, this guy, and I'll say, he knows what he did. He gave an interview. He manned up and gave an interview in the dugout the next day, and he's in a walking boot. He will not be playing for a while, but he was in tears. He said, I let my emotions get the best of me, and I let my teammates down. And I cannot tell you how. I mean, he was in tears because he knows he effed up. I mean, plain and simple. That is, I mean, the Mariners are actually having a half decent season, and he was doing really well. And his team needed him there to continue the production he was doing, and he's gone. They have no idea when they'll get him back, and his teammates are now basically screwed. They got to try and find somebody else to bring up to fill his slot. So thankfully, he at least knows that it was a moronic move. He feels horrible about it. He knows he let his team and his teammates down, but we've seen this too many times before. And as I said, I'm a hothead. I am an absolute hothead. I don't know how many, I mean, this is just high school tennis and, things like that. I was a hothead. I don't know how many tennis rackets I broke, but I didn't kick the damn pole or slam I didn't do anything that would injure me. I still had the smarts to not damage my body in my tantrum, basically.
I just have one serious question to ask. I mean, I need to ask this. Do you know if by any chance the cooler sustained any damage?
I saw the photos. Nope, the cooler just got knocked off its thing.
Oh, that's the worst.
I mean, this one's almost as good as I think about 10 years ago. One of the baseball players might have even been longer, might have been Albert Bell back in the Cleveland days, but he got so pissed off after striking out with all these men on that he walked back in and he used the bat to beat the water cooler, and the thing shattered and went back in his face and cut him horribly.
Oh my God.
And the water cooler was fine.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It reminds me when I was a kid, my dad, I swear, my dear dad, when I was a kid, every time I would stub my toe on a chair, my dad would come running when I'm like, screaming as a kid, I'm crying or whatever. He's like, oh my God. He goes to the chair. I was like, dude, don't damage it. This is expensive furniture here, okay? And I'm like, I hate you so much. I'd start laughing, but in pain at the same time. He would do that to make me laugh, to make me forget about the pain. He did it on purpose, but every time I'm like, I hate you. I hate you so much. So I got him back, though, a couple of times. My dad was like, ow. I was like, hold on. I was like, Dad, you're gonna damage the chair, Dad. Come on. He'd always just look up at him and be like, nice, good one. He's like, now I get it back. I get it. Oh Lord. Anyways, well, I guess that's gonna be it for that one. I mean, we'll see what happens if he comes back. Derek is is on the feed right now. He's basically saying they need to have one of the punching clowns available to anger out on.
What a great idea, Derek. That's exactly what they should have, something along those lines so that they can vent if they need to. I'm not sure where you'd put it in a dugout, but maybe put it in the tunnel that leads out to the dugout from the locker room or something. That's actually a really smart idea.
That, or why don't they just have like a punching bag or something like that? They could go ahead.
You'll break your hand on a punching bag unless you're wrapped up. You can break something on a punching bag really easily too.
That's true. I have a punching bag, but I've only hit it a couple of times bare knuckled, and that shit hurts.
Oh yeah. Man, when I had a punching bag. It's how I took out my frustrations when I was dealing with all the abuse from my stepfather when I was young, and I rarely wrapped up back then. I'd break my hand regularly because I was just so furious. I didn't have time to put my wraps on, put my gloves on, I'd just go out there and just start pounding. I don't know how many times I broke my hand. So you can do it just as easily on a heavy bag, but the punching clown or something along those lines would be an absolutely brilliant idea.
Well, we'll see if that player is out for the season or just out for a few months. We'll keep you posted on that. In other news about players, just what the hell is going on with these guys? New Vikings receiver in trouble already, and the season hasn't even freaking started yet.
Yeah. So this one hurts. My boy Jordan Addison, USC receiver,
had to be
acting
USC.
Like a dumbass already.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. He's from USC.
Don't even get me started. I'll just run down the name of morons out of both of your schools.
Whatever. We're not talking. Why you got to bring a bullshit for?
But he hasn't even reported to training camp. Training camp for rookies starts on like Tuesday of next week. And he was just cited and I believe arrested for driving his Ferrari 140 plus miles an hour in a 50 mile an hour zone somewhere in Minnesota.
That's a felony. Well, at least that's
in Minnesota, it's not a felony. In Minnesota, it's not a felony. He may have his license suspended for up to 6 months, and there could be some jail time coming with it. So the Vikings have said that they are aware of the occurrence. They are monitoring the situation, but this could set him back. He already missed the voluntary training camps earlier, dealing with a injury from the college season. He's only just now gotten healthy, and he was slated to be their number 2 or number 3 receiver this year. That's the plans they had for him. If he misses training camp, he can't get in there with the quarterback and start working some, chemistry and stuff. He may have just screwed his entire rookie season.
Oh my God. I swear. Those USC guys, they just don't know any better. Anyways, that's the news in case you haven't heard it. I love ya. Swallow it. Count to 10. That's the news. In case you haven't heard it, thank you so much for joining us here on the Navarro-Miller Report.
I'm Jeremy Miller, and go back to Fuckla, you pain in the ass.
And I'm Dave Navarro. Thanks so much for joining us, you guys. I'm sorry, that was just too damn funny. Don't forget to join us every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. so you can witness the abuse right here on all major streaming platforms. We are now on Pandora, so you can listen to us on Pandora tomorrow at noon. And as always, I invite you guys to check me out every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday on The Ride Home with Dave Navarro from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Dead Dork Radio. The link is in my bio if you're following me. So go ahead and check me out. If you have any song requests or any shout out requests, let me know. I'll play it for you on the air. Not a problem. But for right now, I just want to wish everybody a great weekend, and we will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.
You have been listening to the Navarro-Miller Report.
This episode of the Navarro-Miller Report was brought to you by the Dorkening Podcast Network and sponsored by Deadly Grounds Coffee.